Here with reaction to that, plus a big development surrounding Hunter Biden. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. Before we get to the hearing, let's start with today's hearings. Right. Let's see. The president said to me, no quid pro or quo. When did Ukraine announce that the investigations? They didn't. So there's no quo, and they got the money anyway. I would say checkmate, game over, game, set, match.
Well, it's a little deeper than that. Sondland said today before the whole world there was an open secret. Everybody understood there'd be no meeting at the White House with the president of the Ukraine unless they opened up an investigation of the Bidens. Well, if it was that open and that well known, why did he not testify to that the first time he was under oath weeks ago? Why didn't the vice president know it? Why didn't Volker know it? And why didn't the president know it? The only testimony from Sondland about the president was, I don't want anything. There is no quid pro quo. I can tell everybody in the world, Donald Trump wouldn't be giving the Ukraine a dime of aid today unless myself, Ron Johnson, Rob Portman, and others pushed the issue. I was willing to vote with Dick Durbin to turn the aid back on September the 11th because I thought the Ukrainians needed the aid and I trusted the new president. And then and only then did they turn the aid on.
And by the way, I mean, the president's clear. He wants to cut back on foreign aid.
He's been this way the whole time with everybody. You know why he wouldn't do a quid pro quo? Because he would be locked into giving aid to a country that he thought was corrupt. So Sondland, if it was that clear and that open and that well known, why didn't you mention it the first time you testified? What happened between the first day he testified and today? His business is being destroyed. His family's being harassed. He threw a bone to everybody today. He's trying to get the monkey off his back. It makes no sense that he knows it now and didn't know it then if it was that obvious. This whole thing is becoming a joke.
No quid pro quo. The first person that ever talked to the president. Everything the president said to Sondland is exculpatory. It's an open secret that the meeting was tied to actions. We have letters saying, pointing to the contrary. 3 occasions he invited the guy with no preconditions. Right? Am I right, Senator, on all those facts?
And the vice president said, I never talked to Sondland about any conditions, about any meeting or the aid. Volker said there was no quid pro quo. But why didn't Sondland mention this well-known open deal the first time he testified? He made it up because he's getting the hell beat out of him.
Well, let me ask you this, Senator. You're a lawyer and prosecutor. Let me ask you. Well, hang on. When Joe Biden said, you're not getting the billion unless you fire the prosecutor, you fire him, I'll give you the billion. You got 6 hours, son of a bee. They did it. His zero experience son is paid millions. And his name is used with Obama's Secretary of State's Department. Hunter works for us. Please stop investigating us. I guess we figured out why zero experience Hunter was paid millions. Can we get to the bottom of that too, sir?
On September the 25th, 2015, the American ambassador to the Ukraine, Ambassador Pyatt, made a speech about corruption, and he wanted Shokin, the general prosecutor, to be more aggressive. The one person he named as being a sleazebag was the president of Burisma. What's the name of the company?
Yes, sir. Burisma Holdings. Yes, sir.
The one person that our ambassador mentioned in 2015 to be corrupt was the president of the gas company. This same guy finally gets investigated by the prosecutor. Did they reward the prosecutor saying, well done, this is what we want you to do? No, they fired the guy within 2 months.
Senator, you have talked about the calls with Biden and Poroshenko, the former president.
Right.
Well, now that we're releasing transcripts, any chance we could ever get those?
So here's what I'm asking for. On February the 2nd, the prosecutor raids the president's house of the gas company, right? On February the 4th, he makes a public announcement. Hunter Biden calls the State Department. On the 11th, the 18th, and the 19th of February, Joe Biden calls the president of the Ukraine. About a month later, they fire the prosecutor. This is the same guy that was urged to take action against the gas company president by the American ambassador in 2015. This doesn't add up. What was that phone call about? Why would you want to fire the guy after he prosecuted the person you said was the dirtiest person in all of Ukraine?
Okay. You mentioned to me that you have a letter going out.
Yes, to Pompeo.
What is the letter about?
I want to know, are there any transcripts or readout of the phone calls between the vice president and the president of the Ukraine in February after the raid on the gas company president's house? After this raid, Hunter Biden kicks in. Hunter Biden's business partner meets with John Kerry, and Vice President Biden on 3 occasions makes a phone call to the president of the Ukraine and goes over there in March, and they fire the guy. And this is the same man that the ambassador wanted investigated in 2015. But what happened here is that Hunter Biden's was on the board, and that changed everything.
So that letter goes out tomorrow to the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who, by the way, never called me. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to know from Mike Pompeo, are there any records of what the vice president talked about? Why were you calling the president of the Ukraine after? Release them. But here's what's so odd. Instead of congratulating the prosecutor for going after the dirtiest guy in the Ukraine, they wound up firing him. Did it have anything to do with the fact that Hunter Biden was on his board? You got to remember that the vice president's son was serving on a board that was run by the dirtiest guy in the Ukraine, according to our own ambassador in 2015.
So you're going to have, on September 11th, the Inspector General will be before your committee. I'm hoping we get a number of days and not on a Friday, a dump.
It'll be December the 9th. You'll get the report.
December the 9th. That's locked.
That's locked.
Okay. That's a Monday. You'll be in your chambers on Wednesday.
This was a good day for the president because this makes no sense. What Sondland
Oh, it makes sense. If you didn't like the election results in 2016, it makes sense. If you didn't get from the FBI investigation, the House Intel investigation, bipartisan Senate investigation, Mueller, what you wanted, sure, it makes sense. Let's remove them this way now and make it all up again and follow a congenital liar off the cliff again, which they did. Thank you, Senator. Great work. We appreciate what you're doing for the country.